I didn't expect that there was going to be a trade, but there you go. Nick Richards is now a member of the Phoenix Suns. BD&R time. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and Batman's a scientist. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel is there to make the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, LockedOnDaily.com, yep, that's where you want to go. And they've got newsletters for your favorite team. Maybe you want to sign up and get the Hornets newsletter or the Suns newsletter because they just pulled off a trade, and see what those guys think from a local perspective on the deal that just went down. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about or how long this little mini emergency, which is not really an emergency. Imagine thinking an emergency is talking about Nick Richards, but that's where we're at. As I choke, that's better. But yeah, we'll talk about this deal now, and it did go down. We heard sort of rumors about parts of this deal, and I told you not to trust the information that comes out unless it's from certain spots. And the deal was different, right? It was different. Nick Richards did end up going in the trade, but like the deal that was reported was Jusuf Nurkic going to the Charlotte Hornets. And my pushback on that was, this doesn't make sense. Why would the Hornets trade for Nurkic? Where would that make sense? That doesn't seem like something they would do. And in the end, that isn't what they did. But Nick Richards did head across to Phoenix, and we get him over there. And let's just break down the details here. Of this trade that went down just like 10 minutes ago or whatever it was. It's not huge. It's not massive. It's not even as massive as the low taper fade meme. It's the Hornets receiving Josh Okogie and 3 second-round picks. Okay, that's not a big haul. The Suns receive BD&R, Nick Richards, and they also get a second-round pick back. So the Hornets traded Nick Richards for a net gain of 2 second-round picks and Josh Okogie's inflated contract. The Suns gave up 2 second-round picks to get, and they're not very good second-round picks from my understanding. I'm just going to check that. I believe one of them is a Denver second-round pick. But yeah, I don't think that they're a particularly strong grouping here. Denver, 26, Denver second, 2031 Denver second, and 2031 Phoenix second. Of course, they get the 2025 Denver second back. So, look, these are picks that, honestly, I don't know about who knows what's going to happen in 2031, but the 25 and 26 Denver seconds are going to be pick 55, pick 56, pick 57. They don't mean anything, really. So, it's not a lot that was given up to get Nick Richards. It just wasn't. And I think that's worth looking at, because I know what is going to be discussed here. I know what people's reactions are going to be. I know what people's thoughts are going to be, and I'm not going to tell you not to have those thoughts. Again, the trade. Hornets get Okogie, 3 second-round picks. Suns get Nick Richards, 1 second-round pick. Let's talk about Nick Richards at first, because that's the thing that really matters here. Richards is averaging 21 minutes a night this season. He's actually the 205th ranked player for category leagues. He's averaging 23 fantasy points. He's averaging 9 points and 7.5 rebounds, with 1.2 blocks, shooting 56 from the field and 68% from the line. Totally mediocre. 1.3 assists, 0.3 steals, right? Totally mediocre. Now, I know that the Suns' center position has not been very good all season, but I will tell you this part of it. Nick Richards isn't very good. He's not very good. He is fine. He is okay. He is not a good player. He is an average player. And he will come in and he will start for the Suns. I'm very certain of that. But they still do have the cockroach, Mason Plumlee. They still do have Oso Ighodaro. They still do have Jusuf Nurkic, who, by the way, is the best of their centers. Jusuf Nurkic is their best center. That doesn't mean they're going to play him. That doesn't mean that Nurkic is going to play, but he is their best center. They have 4 guys there still. Plus, they go small at times with Durant or Royce O'Neal at center. They have done that this season. In fact, I'm going to go check out the minutes logs to have a look at the minutes that these guys have played at center, because there will be times again where it makes more sense to get small, to have someone like what do you call him? What's his name? Like O'Neal or Durant playing that center position. So if I take a look at these minutes, like 8% of Durant's minutes have been at center this season. 2% of Ryan Dunn's minutes have been at center this season. 1% of Royce O'Neal's minutes have been at center this season. And then there's Plumlee, Nurkic, Iguodala, Richards, and then Bol played 24% of his minutes at center. Not that that matters that much. But Richards is not that good. And when I say not that good, again, I'm not saying that he can't be useful. I'm not saying that he's a terrible player, but he is like just, he's mid. Like he's not that good. I think I can't really say it any better than that. Now, I know the immediate reaction is going to be, he is a must add, run, don't walk, sprint to get player. I know people are going to suggest that. I get that. But like, really? Is he that good? I don't think he is. I don't think Richards is that good. And what we'll do is, I showed you the numbers he had there. If I look back at the games, he started 51 games last season, Nick Richards. He averaged 29 minutes in those games. He averaged 10 points and 9 rebounds. He averaged a little over a block per game. He averaged 0.3 steals a game. He averaged under 1 assist per game. He shot 68 from the field and 71 from the line. He was like the 120th ranked player for most of that time in 29 minutes a game. Remembering that in Phoenix, he'll have better usage players around him, which, again, might help his field goal percentage, might not. His field goal percentage this season's down. But he also has opportunities where Iguodala, who plays well and is a very different style of center, I don't know if Nurkic will play at all, but I feel confident about saying that Nick Richards doesn't make this I am here, 30 minutes, let's roll. I don't think that is what Nick Richards brings as a player. There seems to be an overvaluation of what Richards is. He's fine. Like, he's okay. In his 9 starts this season, he averaged 11 and 10. The 10 rebounds, really strong. He shot 65 from the line and 62 from the field. Bad from the line, good from the field. Great. He averaged 1.5 blocks, right? That's much better than last season. He got 0.3 steals again. He actually got to 2 assists, which is better than he's done in the past. Like, that's fine. It's fine. It's like Yves Missi. It's worse Goga Badadze. I don't see him as being any sort of game changer. And that's, again, assuming that he plays 28 a night. He might play 28 a night. But how many times do we see Mike Budenholzer move back and forward on Nurkic in minutes and Plumlee starting? And it is not, under any circumstance, I don't think, guaranteed that the minutes that we're getting here out of Richards are locked in 28 a night, let's go. Because the reason he got those minutes in Charlotte is there was nobody else. Nobody. It was Moussa Diabate and it was Taj Gibson. There was nobody else. And last season, there wasn't even those guys. There was nobody else. And again, Plumlee's not good. You know my thoughts on Mason Plumlee. Iguodala's undersized and young and he's still working on things. That's fine. And Nurkic still exists. And at some point, I'm thinking he might get another chance. I don't know, though. So, it's one of these situations. If you want to get out ahead of it, I think adding Nick Richards can make sense. But I do not think under any circumstance that this is an absolute must. Like, there'll be people who make this call, right? There's going to be someone out there who goes, I'm going to drop Yves Missi. And I'll go, okay. I think you're sort of switching similar players. There'll be someone that says, I'm dropping Derek Lively. I'll go, absolutely do not do that. There'll be someone who says, I'm dropping DeAndre Hunter. Don't do that. There'll be someone who goes in and says, I'm dropping Keon Johnson. Or I'm looking at, I just added Donovan Clingan or whatever. And much as I don't think Clingan's a particularly good player or particularly great and huge upside or anything like that, I think that his fantasy potential is a lot higher than Richards. I think that there's just this level of excitement for Richards, and I don't really know what it is. I don't know why it's as high as it is, this level of excitement, but it's there. That people are looking at him and going, well, that's it. Like the Suns, they've got a huge gaping hole at center. They obviously traded assets to get him. By the way, those assets are not worth much. Yes, they don't have many other assets to give. That is true. but they didn't pay a huge price for Richards. He is quite overrated. He's very limited. His upside is low. Totally okay to add him. In fact, do it. Get ahead of it. Not a problem. But this isn't one where I go, yeah, let's fly. Like last season, Emmanuel quickly getting traded to the Raptors, loved it. Huge usage bump, big minutes bump, big role bump, loved it. That's one you absolutely got to go and grab. Absolutely. This feels a little bit more like Dorian Finney-Smith going to the Lakers. Where it's like, okay, whatever. Better situation. Finney-Smith went from a good situation to a worse one, and Richards goes from a worse situation as a backup into a good spot as they at least started to begin everything here in Phoenix. But I think that be very cautious is maybe the way that I'd phrase it. Be very cautious about who you drop, thinking you're chasing this high-end guy, and I don't think you are. Now, that I am very open to being wrong, right, with this. He could come in. He could come in, average 14 and 11, block 2 shots a game, and be absolutely cooking. That is possible. I don't think that'll happen. There's no real evidence to suggest that will happen. But it could. Things can always change. But if we're not relying upon, Plumlee, not good. Nurkic, also not that good, but still not bad. Iguodala, if we couldn't rely upon any of those guys to get 25 minutes a night, I don't think that Richards comes in, swings it around, and goes, all right, boys, out of the way, beating ass here. Everyone clear out, I'm getting all the minutes. It seems unlikely. That part of it seems unlikely to me. That they will just say, all right, 2 of you guys are now getting DMPs. And Richards is the guy that's establishing. I find that unlikely. We'll find out, won't we? We'll talk about a little bit more about the trade in a sec. But today's episode, it is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are here, and all of the action is covered on FanDuel, from the first whistle to the final drive. And new customers on FanDuel can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That is $300, and that keeps the action going. The app is easy to navigate. There's a variety of bets in every game. You've got spreads, you've got totals, you've got individual team totals, anytime touchdown scorers, props, all of that stuff is there. The betting on your favorite team or other teams that you want to look at, FanDuel has got you covered. So visit FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you by Skims for Men. Skims Men's is there. It's here. It's a new product, and I'm telling you, you're going to want to try it out because you might have heard of Skims before. You might have heard of their lady underwear, and that's okay. Maybe you've worn it. That's not for me to judge. That's your own decision. But now there is men's ones made in bigger sizes with different cuts, great materials, super comfortable underwear. Fit and comfort is one of the main functions of underwear, and if you get the wrong pair, it just annoys you all day. And with Skims, you don't have that problem anymore. It's got a perfect balance of comfort and style. They're perfect for whatever lifestyle you've got. Sedentary, active, somewhere in between. Skims has got the underwear that's going to suit you, and it feels like you're wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So you can shop Skims Men's and by the way, the ad copy actually says almost like you're wearing nothing at all, and they don't do the echo part of it, and that is a missed opportunity. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know that we sent you after you placed your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Okay, so again, let's just do a quick update here on the details of the trade, just in case you've forgotten. The Hornets get Josh Lloyd. They get 3 second-round draft picks, not very good ones. They give up Nick Richards and 1 second-round draft choice, also not a very good one. So it's just like it's a swap of let's see what happens in 2031 in terms of seconds. Are Phoenix and Denver going to be bad in 6 years' time? Maybe. We get 2 picks in the 40s there? Maybe. Will they turn into anything? Almost definitely not. And that is what that trade was. So let's take a look at maybe where the value goes. If we go to the Phoenix side of things, it's undeniable that Nick Richards' value is going to go up. It is going to go up. There's no question about that, right? He's averaging 21 minutes a night for the season. He's the 205th ranked player. He's getting 23 fantasy points. That is going to go up, right? He's not going to average 21 minutes a night. Also, that 19 usage of Nick Richards is probably not going to be a number that that holds through the year. He's averaging 9 points and 7.5 rebounds. Like, okay. If I have a look at where his usage was 17 as a starter and 18 coming off the bench in Charlotte. And, when you're looking to share the ball with Booker and Durant and then Beal, I'm not sure your usage is going to sit at that number. So I'll put his numbers up again on the screen for you to see it. But his value will rise just by getting more than... And I, as much as I might say don't get overly excited, I feel very confident about saying he's playing more than 21 a night. But I will continue to... And I know this guy's probably worn out his welcome, but I'll continue to say, look, Jusuf Nurkic is their best center. Without question, he is their best center, to me. And I think Richards is like an upgraded Plumlee. And that's not a good thing. But the rebounds and field goal percentage are very useful. And that might be just enough in a category league that just does that for you. He can block a shot or two, maybe. But he didn't really do that until this season under Charles Lee. The upside opportunity is there. They might say you are the guy and you play 30 minutes. But it also just might not happen with three other guys that can play center plus small ball. So Mason Plumlee and also Iguodala's value clearly goes down. Plumlee was not a 12-team league guy anyway. Iguodala wasn't either. And now I would say one of those guys probably doesn't play, and I would hope it's Plumlee, but one of them probably doesn't play most nights. But that also leaves two guys sitting on the back of your bench in Nurkic and Plumlee who just are dead roster spots. So I think Budenholzer is going to have a lot of adjustment stuff with trying to figure this out. But obviously, if you're in a 10 or 12 or 14 team league, you're dropping Plumlee and you're dropping Iguodala. The removal of Okogie out of the rotation doesn't really change anything. It just helps Dunn, Allen, O'Neal, and then those guys get like 2 to 3 extra minutes. Okogie wasn't even an every night rotation guy anyway. So that doesn't really mean that much, I don't think, on the Phoenix side of the equation in terms of that replacement. In Charlotte, if you are in deeper leagues, there is something important here because Moussa Diabate is going to have to play a larger role. The problem I'll give you with that one, with Moussa Diabate, who had some moments this season when Richards and Williams were both out, he was an elite rebound. He'd be a 6.19 rebound player who got steals and not as many blocks. But Diabate has only 19 games left on his 2-way contract. So they would need to cut somebody, and they could. Daquan Jeffries, Seth Curry, those guys could easily move on. They could get rid of those guys without any problem, I think, and convert him to a full-time contract, which they probably will. And then if Mark Williams goes down, you do have the ability to use Diabate. Taj Gibson is also the other guy there who would likely get a bump because now he is the clear third-string guy. But we're not really caring about that. And I think it also opens a little bit of extra minutes for Tijan Salam because Diabate can play the 4 and the 5. And that means he plays more of the 5 and Salam can do a little bit more of the 4. But these are just deeper league things. I think Okogie's value does increase. Not hugely, not enough for us to care in most spots. But I think his value does increase because I think he probably can be a part of the rotation most nights. I think there's a small hit to Josh Green and Cody Martin. But for most of us, this doesn't matter. If you're in a 30-team league or a 20-teamer, Okogie maybe gets a bump. Diabate is like a 20-team league guy. And that's probably, and Taj Gibson, like 30-team guy. That's probably about it. So not many changes, I don't think, happening there, apart from that Diabate move, which is more important if someone, Mark Williams, in front of him goes down. That's where that one becomes important. Today's episode is also brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That is over 8 times the normal savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November the 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Okay, so again, finally, we'll just go over the details of the trade. Charlotte receives Josh Okogie, and they receive 3 second-round picks. Phoenix receives BD&R Nick Richards, and they give away 1 second-round pick. Richards is going to be the Suns' starting center. He averaged 21 minutes a night this season, not being a top 200 player, but he was a pretty solid rosterable guy getting 28 to 29 minutes a night. There is no guarantee he gets 28 to 29 minutes a night in Phoenix every night. He is a rebounds guy with field goal percentage and not bad blocks. Although the blocks last season were bad, this season they've been better. So the reality there, where is it? I think the usage drops for Richards in Phoenix. I think the field goal percentage, which had dipped a little bit in Charlotte, might jump back up. He is a limited upside player who I don't think locks in at 30 a night at all. And Plumlee and Iguodala lose out, and Nurkic is still floating around. That is where we're at with that. And that is the wrong button that I pushed because I hadn't created an intro graphic for the show, but that's okay because this was a little bit of an unexpected show. So hit the thumb on the video. Leave your comments down below. I know that the vast majority of you are going to be sprinting and thinking this is a must-add player. Some of you may even be hyped up enough to call it a league winner. Don't think so, but that's okay. We always like to get ahead of it, and we take the chance. Just expectations, be cautious on them. And be good. Be good to Nick Richards. Say something positive about him. I did. He improved his block rate. There you go. There's a good thing to say. But say it to yourself as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.